up, my duckies? Welcome back to the Boston Nation, the best you love or you hate. How's it going, everybody? So finally, I finally got my friend over here to show off his Zork deck. Yes, I said Zork.
It's Zark.
Zork, Dong, Ding Dong, I don't care.
Because he's strong.
Because he's strong, yes, that is correct. This guy is God tier once it comes out. You know, when you see that card comes out, you know you're in big trouble. So let's show us this beautiful creature, shall we? And how you doing today, sir?
Good. Alright, to start things off, we got 3 Dark Worm. Now, this is the Stratos of the deck. You normal summon him. Search for your Supreme King Gate 0 or Infinity, whichever you need. Personally, I prefer getting 0 first. Always, mostly. And when he hits the grave and you have no monsters on the field, he could special himself back and then trigger his other effect again. He could also be used on a scale, and when there's nothing on the scale, you could special a Infinity because he's a scale 5 and you want to summon as much level 7s in this build as possible.
Okay.
Next, you have 3 Supreme King Gate 0. What you do with this is you pendulum summon him, or normal summon, whatever. Then you kill him and one other monster, and then special your... which was it again? Synchro or Fusion Dragon types. They get 0 attack and 0 defense and no effects. And then his other effect is, since he was destroyed by his effect, battle, or anybody else's effect, he gets placed on a scale immediately. So what you do is pop him in a scale and then place him in that scale's position.
Okay.
Supreme King Gate Infinity does the same thing, but he summons pendulums and Xyz.
Cute.
And when he's on a scale, you can't pendulum summon unless your field is completely empty. So it's best not to put him on a scale unless Zark's there.
Okay. Setups and whatnot.
Then you got your 3 Odd Eyes. You don't really have to explain much about this one.
We already know what he do.
2 Mirage Dragons, because you need a lot of Dragon Pendulums, and if you have Odd Eyes on the field and it gets destroyed by Mirror Force or Dark Hole and stuff, you could just put Odd Eyes on the scale.
Okay, here's a little Odd Eyes protection.
Time Breaker, he's a scale 2, but his primary use is his Banish effect. And he's a dark.
And that helps out.
2 Noble Dragon, this is your main synchro player here. You use this to make all your level 7 synchros.
Okay.
Then you have Zhang for when you want to do your Pendulum Xyz plays.
Rebellion, Raging.
And trust me, you'll see a lot of those in this build. 2 Wisdom Eyes, because this thing's off the ban list, and you only need 2. 2 Dragon Pit, the vanilla scale 8. His effect on pendulum scale is also useful if you're afraid of back row. And the last monster is that 1 Skullcrobat Joker, because you only need 1 for this. You already have enough Stratos. Free my nigga Stratos.
Please.
Now in the spell section we have 3 Miracle.
Oh my god, that's an oldie.
So once you have 4 of the cards in the grave or on the fields, Fusion, Synchro, Pendulum, and Xyz, use special Zark using this card mostly.
Okay.
Odd Eyes Fusion, the best fusion for the deck, in my opinion.
Bring out the
When your
Vortex.
opponent has 2 cards on the field and you got an empty field, why don't you just drop 2 cards that you could use later for Zark and special at Fusion, mostly Vortex.
Of course.
And then if you have all 4 on the field, why don't you just play Zark without Miracle banishing them?
Huh. That was way jubbly.
Duelist Alliance. When you got another card in your Pendulum Zone, you use this, you activate it, you get a Pendulum monster, a card with Pendulum in its name, that's monster or spell, and add it to your hand.
Okay.
2 Sky Iris, cause it helps to pop your scales when you got a bad hand or when you want those Odd Eyes fusions. 2 Terraforming to search your field spell,
Why not 3?
cause when you run 2 it's best to have at least 1 Terraforming, but 2 since you want Sky Iris a lot. Ignite Reload, cause this is a Pendulum deck and you want that +1 draw.
Best draw power.
1 Pendulum Call, cause there's not a lot of magicians in this build.
Okay.
And Pendulum Switch.
Ooh,
When you got a Pendulum card in your spell, in your zone, once per turn you could put that onto the field. So if they're about to OTK you, you could just drop a Pendulum.
Okay.
Save you some life points. Hopefully you live. Or when they're about to destroy your Pendulum and you don't have anything good on the scale, you could put it back on scale.
Okay. Doing shit.
Next we have the extra deck. You got your 2 Zarks, the boss monster of the
Man
deck.
himself.
4,000 attack beater. On summon, nukes the board unless they're unaffected. He's unaffected by other card effects.
The only way to get rid of him
Only
is
way to get rid of him is to either beat over him with like Utopia Lightning or Kaiju him.
Yep.
Or you may stir away. No,
And you got the Synchros Odd Eyes Meteor Burst. What you normally do with this card is you Synchro it, then you bring back a card from your Pendulum Zone. Hopefully it's one of the Dragon Pits. Then you make an Xyz summon with it. And the Xyz you bring out with him is mostly Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. When this card hits the field, he could protect you from an attack once per turn, and if it's successful, you could bring back an Odd Eyes from hand or grave to the field.
Free.
Then, if it gets killed by like Kaiju or anything and hits the grave, as long as it was Xyz summoned, that's the key point, as long as it was Xyz summoned, you could bring out an Odd Eyes from extra deck, which you mostly go into a fusion one.
Quickie.
The best fusion in
Yes,
the deck,
it is.
Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. You could bring it out with Absolute, but then it would be unable to be brought back if you do bring it with another Absolute. It could negate spells, traps, monster effects once per turn as long as you return a face-up Pendulum monster. And when it's summoned, it returns a face-up attack position monster to the hand.
Yep.
Then you got the 2 Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon. This card really doesn't see much plays outside of the Infinity and or being milled to the grave with the Odd Eyes Fusion. But you can go into it with Jiankei.
Very potential OTK with it.
The real card you go into is Jiankei Raging Dragon. This card, greatest Pendulum Xyz ever created. Nukes your opponent's board, spell, traps, monsters, everything. Then it gains 200 attack for each destroyed. And then attacks twice. Not once, twice.
It's so good. And the artwork is beautiful.
Then you got Dark Rebellion, the Synchro.
Hey, the dude.
Clearwing, the Synchro. Starving Venom, the expensive fusion that barely gets played in this deck cause
For reasons.
you don't really want most of your monsters on the field. You want to go into Zark as quick as possible. And then Big Eye for stealing other people's cards, cause who doesn't love that?
Of course, who doesn't like snatch
Funny
and
as
steal
hell.
when it's banned? Any suggestions for anyone who's planning to make a Zark deck?
I would say pick this deck up cause it's cheap deck. You
No
don't
budget
really
build.
even need the 3-dimension dragons in there. You could just run any dragon, synchro, fusion, or Xyz and still make Zark with the miracle synchro fusions.
Alright. Well, thank you for sharing this beautiful God Destroyer deck of yours. The silence is telling me
You're
everything.
welcome.
Anywho, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button down below, and also remember, if you're not a part of the Basta Nation, hit that subscribe button because you know you're a bastard in your own way. Catch you later. Love y'all.